And what kind of stuff do you talk about?
I talk about religions, numerology, astrology. I talk about racism. I talk about Africa. I'm passionate about the offspring of Africa and people of color really awakening to the truth of who they are, outside of what we've been taught.
Yes.
You know,
Wow.
on a spiritual level, on a physical level, scientific level. And I'm a student, so I'm interested in all these things. I've always been very curious and a seeker, and not afraid of the unknown, not afraid to be disturbed, I guess. I wouldn't say I like to hear the hard stuff, but I'm okay. I'm comfortable with the hard conversations, with confrontation. And so that's led me to be really open and curious about all this. I used to be very religious in the church. I've had people say, do you remember you told me I was going to hell back in 19 da da da? I'm like, please forgive me. You know, I'm better now, you know.
Yeah.
So all that, man, life is.
It's funny you say that, because when I looked at the chart, one of the things that kind of jumped out was there could be a really strong tendency, especially early in life, to be a very judgmental person.
Yeah.
Yes. But yeah, where I was like, whoa. Yeah.
I'm hoping that's gone. You know, please let me know.
Well, you know, here's what I found out about life, you know, and it's reflected in astrology, is that the judgment, the need to be judgmental is not gonna go away. It just needs to be transformed.
Yes.
You know, that there's a divine purpose for being judgmental. You just got to find that divine purpose.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so also, you know, how much do you know about astrology?
I'm a student. I know about my rising sign, I'm Scorpio, sun and rising, Capricorn moon. I know there's a lot going on right now in the third house for me with this transit with Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And
right.
I know that's in the third house, and it's about communication and writing. I'm trying to finish my book. Okay, I'm going to let you talk.
No, this is beautiful, because, you know, to me, and I don't like to call these readings, I like to call them conversations.
Yes.
You know, because, you know, my vision is that astrology is a language, and it's a language that allows you to, similar to something you said earlier, it's a language that allows you to rise above your conditioning. You know? It's a language that allows you to speak to bigger truths that are outside of what we've been conditioned to think. Right?
I like that.
And I find when I start having a conversation with someone, that I say they start to speak their chart, where you've already said things that have made direct connections that allow me to talk about the astrological symbolism in real talk. Okay. You know, the thing you said about, and you started to go there. You started to go to that you like the difficult truths, and then you stopped yourself, and then you said you were okay with it. Okay. All right.
Well, yes, I'm not okay with them. I mean, I accept them. I don't mind discussing it. Like, for instance, with my daughter, and I don't want to mess a lot going on with her right now. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot. Yeah. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. So, you know, in when I look at this chart, I get this, I have that same exact feeling of, it's a lot going on. It's a lot.
A lot.
Exactly.
How many problems you got? A lot. Okay.
a lot. Yeah.
That part.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. But so if we start there, the next step that we can make is, if someone is born with a life that has a lot of problems, what is the possible spiritual reason or purpose
for you to? Yeah. I mean, is that a question? I don't know.
A question. Go for it. I saw it coming off your lips. I saw it.
Yeah, to force, not force you to. Some people evolve or wake up through a traumatic experience. Some people do later in life on their deathbed. I mean, I don't know that I know this per se. I'm not an expert, but just what I've observed and experienced. For me personally, I think it's just for me to really get there and wake up and,
Exactly.
Remember who I am and yeah.
That's exactly the reason. Exactly. And so I would argue that, at where you are in life, you are an expert.
You heard it here first, folks. Coming straight out of the mouth of Ricky Williams. I am, in fact, an expert. Okay, go ahead.
No, we'll talk. Or okay, let me temper that a little bit.
I know. In my life, my experience.
Exactly.
My truth.
Because that's the whole idea. If we're talking about a young person, and I was there, going through a lot. And when you're young, it's a lot, But as you go through it and you gain the skills to be able to deal with a lot, then you realize, like you just said, you realize the wisdom in it is that by going through all this, it's made me a wise person. I've reached that point where I'm not afraid of myself. I'm not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
And for you, this is a huge part of what you're working on in this lifetime, is getting to that point where you're not afraid anymore.
Yeah.
And so Scorpio, right? Probably 85% of what we've just been talking about is all in the realm of Scorpio. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Scorpio is all about transformation, right?
Yes.
Inherent in the idea of transformation is something has to die so that something new can be reborn.
Yes.
Something has to die so something new can be reborn.
Right.
Okay? But the problem is we tend to store the parts of ourselves that need to die. We tend to bury them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And so in order to get those parts of ourselves that need to die up to the surface, we tend to have to go through some kind of intense experiences that trigger those parts back to the surface. Okay? Yeah. So in Pluto rules Scorpio. So mm-hmm. in Pluto times, in Scorpio times, what tends to happen is old wounds, old ways where we've been wounded tend to get triggered by the environment so that they can come to the surface. Okay?
Yes.
So one of the most important things for someone with this much Scorpio energy to understand is that when that occurs, it's not the person, it's not the situation, right? Mm-hmm. It's God, it's the universe giving you an opportunity to heal something.
Yeah.
Right? Giving you an opportunity to heal something. And so here's the crux here. So it's extremely important with Scorpio energy here to be as non-judgmental as you possibly can.
Yes.
Because in order to deal with Scorpio, you have to be beyond judgment. Because Scorpio, by definition, is all of the things that we've been taught to carry shame. They're all the things that are taboo about. Built in Scorpio, our conditioning is stay away from this, don't ever talk about this, don't do any of that. Okay? Yeah. And a Scorpio rising, especially with the sun there, when you step into the room, you're giving off this vibe of all the things that scare people, all the things that we've been told we're not supposed to think about, we're not supposed to talk about. There's this sun, the sun is the center of the solar system. It's that light, it shines. In the first house, you walk into a room, there's a shine there. Okay.
And then with my midheaven being in Leo too, I just recently learned about that. It's like has a lot to do with the spotlight as well.
Of course.
I think.
But the tricky thing here is Scorpio is you hear a lot about Scorpio has a lot to do with keeping secrets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Mm-hmm. And so, when the energy goes inwards and turns to secrets, all of that shine, first of all, it becomes hidden from the world. But second of all, it starts to shine on all of the dark stuff. And if you sit with that and it goes inside, you'll kill yourself, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the tricky part, the wound that has to be healed, with Scorpio energy in the first house is heal all of the wounds that taught you, that conditioned you to turn the light inwards, to become secretive, you know?
Yeah.
And I have Pluto in the first house, so it's very similar placement. And the wound here is that when we're young, we don't know what's taboo and what's not taboo. You know, it's something that we have to learn. And so I guarantee there's a moment in your life where you were young and you did something, you put on something, you said something.
Yeah.
The message you got from the people around you was, nope, stop, don't, you can't do that, you know?
Right.
So,
right. Yes.
So,
right.
But because this is a light it's a scary light, because it shines the light on the truths that people try to hide.
Right.
It shines a light on our wounds. It shines, in a negative sense, it shines a light on the things that we are afraid will destroy us.
Yes.
In a positive sense.
That are embarrassing also.
Exactly. Humility. All of
things
that.
Exactly.
All of that, right? All of that, okay? And so, first and foremost, right, is the thing that comes to mind is in your life, it's important to make choices. First house is about choices. It's important to make choices to put yourself in situations where people appreciate that kind of light.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
Right?
Where
people are looking for the truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you
not many are, unfortunately.
Well,
more now than before. So
here's the thing, though, and this is consistent with the first house sun, right? If you're shining that light, and you're shining that light in a pure sense, in pure Scorpio light, is this transformational light where people, when they're ready to make that next step, they have a safe place to do that, a safe person to come to, a safe person to share their secrets, their wounds, their humiliations, their pains, a safe place to put them out there where there's no judgment. What I realize is I know you'll identify with this, is the moment of healing, right? Is when you feel comfortable enough, on purpose or an accident or whatever, share something. And when you share it, you just know the judgment is about to come.
Oh, yeah.
And then it doesn't come. And then there's a moment where it doesn't come.
Right.
You know? And to me, that's where the healing occurs. That's where the healing occurs.
Yeah.
Right? And so, again, making choices to surround yourself with people, places, things, etc., that appreciate what you have to offer, but appreciate the light that you have to shine, that appreciate what gives you vitality. Yeah. Because the sun is about vitality. And for you, anytime you move towards the dark, the taboo, whether that's with other people or within yourself, there's going to be more light available to you. There's going to be more juice, more meaning, more vitality available to you. Okay? Wow. And first house is where we have to make choices, Yes. First house is, I think of the ascendant, right? Okay, this line right here, this horizontal line, is like a membrane. Everything below this is literally the horizon at the time and place of your birth. So everything below here is what's underground, what's buried, and everything above here is what is out in the open for everyone to see. Wow. And so you can think of the ascendant as a membrane, okay? And it's a membrane that separates what's going on inside of you from what you share out in the world. Okay. So I think of one way to get to the
moon is down there. Okay, that's heavy.
I mean, we'll get to that moon. The moon will help this make even more sense. Okay. Okay. And so the ascendant behavior, the best way to think about the ascendant is you go to a get together, and you don't really know a lot of people, and no one there really knows people. It's just kind of a get together, and people are just getting to know each other. Okay. That part of themselves that people put forward when they don't really know other people, that's the ascendant. Ah. Right? The social mask. And it's related to making choices, and it's related to behavior. Because if you think about, for instance, let's say someone who is a Cancer, okay, a fourth house Cancer. Their sun is in the fourth. Fourth house is very subjective, homebody, okay? Yeah. But a fourth house Cancer, but they're Aries rising with Mars in the first. Okay, so they're very sensitive, very much a homebody, but also they're very defensive and protective. Yeah. And what they show out in front is kind of this tough, like, don't mess with me. right?
Right.
And so in
Yeah.
a party, you might experience them as like, this person might be kind of loud or forward, right? But if
Yeah.
you kind of like meet them where they are and they like trust you, you'll realize on the inside that they're really a softie.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then you start to experience that Mars energy as something that is protective. And so once you're part of their group or their family, they're just really protective of you.
Nice.
So the ascendant is, again, it's about it's about behavior. It's about whatever's going on the inside. What do we make a choice to show the outer world?
Right.
Okay.
Yes.
And so when the sun is in the first house, the vitality and the mask, there's a coming together. Okay, so it adds more strength to this. Okay.
Wow.
So what it's saying that, because the sign of the sun is really about the values you must be true to in order to have strength, vitality, charisma, meaning in your life. And the values of Scorpio are the truth,
Yes. Yes.
The truth.
The difficult, ugly truth.
Exactly. That. When I say it, I say the nasty, ugly, disgusting.
Oh, God.
They're so difficult to sit with, but the ones that you need to sit with the most.
My ex-husband told me, "Don't tell me the truth."
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't tell me the truth.
Yeah,
lie to me.
Wrong relationship. Right.
Wrong.
So,
yeah.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh my goodness.
Make choices, right? Make choices that put you in an environment where people appreciate those truths.
Where is that? Look, I need to find that place. I'm hoping it's.
Here's one of the ways to get there. Okay.
Okay.
First house choices, right? Values to truth. Okay. Start making the most valuable thing in your life the truth.
Yes.
Right? The truth. And always trying to look deeper. Always trying to look deeper to see what is really there. What is really there. Okay? All right. So
you had to take a deep breath. Oh my goodness.
Well, I'm just looking at where to go next to tell the story. Because there, as I was talking about this, the Scorpio, my attention went to Saturn in the 8th house. Okay, because I think one of the best ways to learn astrology is to learn them based on 12 basic archetypes. Yes. What I mean by that is you learn packages, and so when I think of Scorpio, I think of the planet Pluto, and I also think of the 8th house. Because they're not all identical, but they're all pretty much saying the same thing, and they're always going to be connected. Okay. Always going to be connected. All right. So the way the 8th house is connected. Okay. So planets represent functions. Okay. Functions. And so the planet Pluto represents the function of making the unconscious conscious. Right. So wherever Pluto is in our chart, it's where, because in order to have unconscious to make conscious, there's wounds, right? There's wounds that help, that make us or put us in situations where we have to push things down into the unconscious. And it's a normal survival function, because as kids, there's certain experiences that we have that we don't have the ability to process. Yes. We don't have the experience. Right. Yes. It's just so fucked up that we're like, we take that and we bury it. We bury it into a later date when we can process it. Okay? These are the plutonian wounds, right? And so wherever Pluto is in our chart, it'll show us where we have these kinds of wounds. Okay. And the interesting thing about Pluto relative to the sign placement is that Pluto was in Libra for 12 years. About 12 years. And so everyone born between 1972 and 1984 has Pluto in Libra. Okay. And so it represents a wound that everyone experienced, right? A wound that's planted in all of us that were born in this generation. Wow. Okay? But it also represents the adults that were on the planet at that time, what they were the wounds that they were having to deal with.
Right. Okay. Wow.
So when Pluto moves through a sign, okay, remember Pluto as a function, right, makes the unconscious conscious. And so when Pluto moves into Libra, it takes all of the unconscious Libra material on the planet and stirs it up and brings it to the surface. Okay? And so Libra is about relationships and about balance.
Yes.
Okay? And so it's interesting, if someone looked at your chart and they looked at your sun, your moon, and your ascendant, right, they would see Scorpio, Capricorn, right? What they would not see is that you have 4 planets in Libra. Okay, I just want that to sit for just to sit for a minute. Okay.
Yeah.
4 planets in Libra, right? That's there's 10 planets, 4 tenths, right, in Libra.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right, we'll get back to that, but I just want to touch on that. So I say that because I'm about to talk about Libra, right? And even though the sun, moon, and ascendant aren't there, but the things I say should resonate to 4 different parts of you. All right. So Libra is the scales. Interesting thing about Libra is the only symbol of the zodiac that's not a human or an animal.
Right.
It's a thing.
It's a right.
An
object.
Exactly. And so in if you go way back in history, the balance scales, right? It was used in markets where you would have an ounce of lead, right, which didn't have very much value, but it set the measurement of what an ounce was. And then they would sprinkle, let's say, silver or gold dust on the other side of the scale in order to find the balance. Okay? Where from the image of the scale, right, an ounce of lead was equal to an ounce of gold, right? But the values definitely aren't equal, but on the scale, they're equal. And so this idea of being able to sit with paradox, okay, this is very much Libra, okay? That understanding that the opposite of any great truth is another great truth, okay? And being able to sit between these great truths instead of having to swing to one or swing to the other, okay? Right? You'd be able to sit between these 2 great truths, right? And so Libra is also about relationship, right? And if you think of, you've been married, so you at least in theory.
Yeah, there you go. Oh my God.
in theory, understand the idea of making a relationship work. There has to be a lot of compromise, finding that balance. Right. The difficult thing is if you and I tell people, the biggest mistake we make in relationships is we choose the wrong partners, right?
Exactly.
We choose the partner where there's not even a possibility for that balance. We drive ourselves crazy. We end up having to give way too much in order to create that balance.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We need a whole nother session to talk about all that. Let me tell you, it's a lot.
Yes.
Now, I just want to say, and I got married for religious reasons. I got married, and I've told my husband this is one of the truths that he wished I didn't tell him. I didn't want to go to hell. I wanted to, I was Christian, that was my area of weakness, fornication, so it was like, my pastor said, hey, the Bible says it's better to marry than to burn. We had a child together, so reluctantly, yeah.
So, okay, I mean, yeah, all right, so let's see. So when you said fornication, this is Scorpio, right?
Yeah, oh yeah.
This is Scorpio.
Scorpio, absolutely.
Well, and so here's the thing about relationship, right? Here's the thing about relationship is, and this is the connection to the 8th house, okay? Is this idea of fornication, and I'll speak of it energetically, is the idea of, I talked about Scorpio is the truth. Another aspect is the hidden truth, and there's this this idea when you're sexually attracted to someone, what's underneath their clothes is the hidden truth,
Yes.
And also when you share your body with someone, right? And I think of pillow talk, that when you get that intimate with somebody, that there's deeper stuff that's revealed, okay?
Right.
And then that willingness to go there with somebody It's similar to what I said before, just a different vector where you can share these difficult truths, right?
Yes. Right.
Right? It's transformative, right? After you just
Mm.
shared your body with somebody and you're getting really close to somebody, you can share deeper parts of yourself,
Right.
right? And that's where the
Exactly.
transformation comes, right?
Mm.
And so it's you know, we're taught that, again, sex is bad and all these things.
Yes.
Yes, we have to respect the power. We have to respect
Yes.
the power of it.
Exactly.
Yes,
Right.
but that comes from realizing the power of it, the
Right.
transformational power. Okay, and so the eighth house. All right, houses are about behaviors. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
behaviors.
Behaviors. Planets
Yeah.
are about functions. Houses are about behaviors.
Yeah, and signs are about motivations or intents, goals, right? And so the goal of Scorpio is transformation, is to get
Yeah.
to the bottom of yourself,
Yes.
right?
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, please.
Yes. This is the, right. Okay, and so if you take that one phrase right there, let's talk about the elephant in the room. Okay, the one choice you can make in life to create is the most amount of conversations about the elephant in the room is to decide to get into a bonded sexual relationship with someone, right? Because if you do this and you commit to this, all of the elephants in your own room eventually are going to come to the surface. Okay, right? So this is what I'm saying. This is the function of Pluto, but houses are about behaviors. So this is the behaviors that stimulate that kind of Plutonian function, right?
So Saturn, and Saturn is about government and
Well,
laws,
yeah.
or
Okay, so okay. Let's use this as an example. You're saying Saturn is about government and about laws, and the eighth house is the house of. So what you described, right? The house of marriage is the seventh house, right? The idea of a contractual agreement of two people to be partners. Okay, that's the seventh house. Okay, and so in religions, right? When religions talk about marriage, they're talking about the seventh house, right? And the purpose is once you have an agreement that we're going to be together forever, that creates the safe container to do the eighth house work. Right? Right? Because if you don't have some kind of agreement, when you get in the eighth house and all the elephants in the room start to come up, you know, and you see it. People kill each other, you know, are killing each other, right?
Yeah, right.
And then this is really getting to, I mean, everything is coming together. So, when I was in the Big Brother house, okay, you know, we weren't allowed to have any writing utensils, any books except for religious books, and so everyone brought their Bible. Even the people that had never opened it brought their Bible. Okay?
Cool.
I'm a reader, you know, I'm a Gemini, so I like to read, and so the only thing there was to read was the Bible. So I really got into the Bible again.
Wow, where's that footage, Big Brother? Release it.
We have a lot of that footage, and so one of the things that kept jumping out to me over and over again as I was reading the Bible was the value they placed on marriage, you know, the sanctity of marriage, you know, and it was like, wow. And I just was, and then I started thinking about it, and I made the connection. Is it that, and to a certain extent, I understand why the Bible says wait until you're married and before you engage in fornication, because they're aware of the transformational power when you start to share your body with someone and all the things that come to the surface. Okay, and so if you think, so in that sense, you can think of the way that you were thinking about marriage, right? As an eighth house relationship, and what you said was the reason you did it was because of the religion, the structure, Saturn, the rules. Okay, the rules. All right.
Yeah.
Right. So this is Saturn in the eighth. It's that idea of getting into a relationship. One surface level is getting into a bonded relationship because it's what you were supposed to be doing. Okay. Getting into a bonded relationship because what you were supposed to be doing. So a deeper interpretation of Saturn in the eighth. Okay. And it comes to these deeper themes here. Okay. And so the south node of the moon, okay, it represents the past, represents experiences that we had before we were born that conditioned us. Okay. And because of that, the tendency is to repeat those same themes during the first half of our life so that we can recover and we can heal from them. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And so the south node in the ninth house. Okay. The ninth house is the house of religion, right? Houses are where things occur, where we do religion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And Cancer, one of the things that Cancer rules is family, right? Wherever you see Cancer, family becomes important. And so when you see the south node in the ninth house, you see this heavy influence to take on the religion of the family, right? Religion of the family. Okay. And so the moon rules Cancer. And to keep unfolding and understanding the story of the past, we have to see what the moon is saying. Okay. And the moon is in Capricorn, right? And so, yes, your moon is in Capricorn in this life, but what we're saying is there's going to be more weight to this Capricorn moon because it rules the south node, right? And so when the moon is in Capricorn, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, so it's Saturn energy. It's what am I supposed to do, right? What are the rules, right? What it's structures, limitations, right? What do I have to do? And so the idea is feeling boxed in by the religion of your parents, okay? Boxed in by the religion of your parents. And the story gets more interesting. That's who you were, okay? That's who you were. When we look at the planets that are making aspects to the south node or to the ruler, we get more information about what happened, okay? And so all three of these planets in the 12th house in Libra, okay? So it's saying that because all these planets were affecting the south node from Libra, it's telling us about all of the things that went wrong because of your attachment to only looking at the world rigidly through the religion of your parents. Okay. And so Libra's relationship. So in the 12th house is self-undoing, right?
Oh my
12th house is the house of suffering, the house of loss, the house of sorrow, right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so, yeah, it's the story. I'm starting to get goosebumps. The story starts to get kind of dark, right? Because it's the 12th house. And the energy of the 12th house, it feels tragic.
Yes.
You know? Because it's about endings, right? And not all endings have to be tragic, but because we're talking about the unprocessed stuff from the past that you brought in with you, then we're looking at the dark stuff, okay?
Yeah.
And so what this can lead to, I'll jump to that. What this can lead to is this unconscious fear, right? That all of a sudden the rug's going to be pulled out from underneath you. That something horrific and horrible is going to happen. Okay? Right? Because it's what you experienced in the past. Okay.
Right.
And so, as I looked at this and I started to think about it, the words that came to my mind, because the ninth house is about religion, but it's also about travel overseas. Okay, it's also about travel overseas. And the connection is it's about experiences where we're in uncomfortable situations and we have to figure things out. And it's about situations that test our faith and test our beliefs. Okay. Yeah. And so if you think of someone who grows up in small town in South Carolina. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they have certain experiences that are just inherent in being in a African American community in a small town in South, right? Everybody goes to church. Okay. That's just what you do. And you're given a certain belief system, right? A way to look at the world and a way to understand it. Okay. And let's say this person never leaves that small town. Okay. Right. What's going to happen in their life is they're going to hold on to that belief system, and any information that comes in that challenges that belief system, they're going to be like, no, right. This is what the It's right. It's right here.
The word says.
Exactly. Right?
It's in the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. But let's say, you know, this person in the small town gets really good grades and gets offered a scholarship, right? And parents say education is important. Offered a scholarship to go to USC. You know, it's at University of Southern California, not University of Southern.
Okay, right. I'm with you. I'm following.
Yes. All right. And so the parents don't know. You know, they're just happy the kids going to school, right?
Right. Yeah.
To LA, and it's like.
Yeah, a whole new world.
Exactly.
A whole new world.
And they try to apply their beliefs that they were taught.
Yeah.
They don't work. Right?
Yeah,
they don't work in this new environment. And so the mind has to expand, the belief system, the worldview has to expand. Right? It has to grow. This is the ninth house. Okay? This is the ninth house.
So which chart are you using? There's like, you know, there are different types, because the chart that I used to use had my moon, my south node in Sagittarius, right? Was it Sagittarius? But I know there are different types, though. There's like,
so that's Vedic. That's Vedic astrology, and your Vedic astrology, your north node is in Sag. Yes.
Okay, and you're using
it's called Western astrology, or tropical zodiac. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah.
In the Vedic astrology, they use the sidereal.
Gotcha. Okay.
And there's about 23 degrees difference.
So this is like even more mind-blowing, because it's something like Capricorn and Cancer is like something with those two.
Yes, it very much. This is Capricorn, Cancer, this is where your nodes are. So this is where your hang-ups are going to be.
Yeah.
Okay? And you see how it can be triggered. This is the judgment part, right? Right. The judgment based on the religion of your parents. Okay. That's the
right. Yeah. I'm out. I'm out of there.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so but I guess what I'm saying is the repetition of the south node is that drama needing to break loose and break free from that. Okay.
Yes.
This is Uranus. This is the planet Uranus. Uranus is about the need to break free from our father's religion or our father's belief systems.
Wow. Yes. Radical change. Radical change.
But the purpose of the radical change is this. Okay, is that the Uranus Aquarius kind of story theme is about an 11th house, Pluto on the 11th. So this will relate. It's about the fact that we're all social creatures, right? Is that in order for us, we realized a long time ago that our chances of survival were much better if we came together as a group or as a collective.
Yes.
And so this idea to fit in, right, to follow the rules is connected to our survival instinct. Because if we didn't follow the rules and we got kicked out of the tribe, our chances of survival, we're not very good. Right.
Okay. Oh my God, I'm tripping right now.
And so as we've evolved, the whole idea is we're born into a certain family, and I think when we're born, we all have a unique path to go down. Okay, we all are born with this unique destiny. But as soon as we're born into a family, into a culture, into a race, right, into all these conditioning factors, right? When we're born, I think we have the urge to move in our own unique direction, but because the parents have the food and the love and the shelter, and they have their own ideas about what we should be doing, we say, okay, and then we go down that path. And so we're all conditioned, right? And so Uranus, Aquarius, 11th house, this is all about the experiences we need to have to break free of that condition. Okay. But the first step, and this is, is your Aquarius as an air sign. This is what it symbolizes. The first step is to become aware of how we've been conditioned. Okay. But that's extremely difficult. Because it's so natural for us to fit in, that it's hard to parse apart what part of me is doing this to try to fit in, and what part of me is really me and really about my authentic path in life.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that we're going to come back to that theme because the planet Uranus has just entered your 7th house and opposed to your ascendant. So this is made, you're going through.
Enter my 7th house and oppose my ascendant.
Yes. Here's what it looks like.
And I'm just realizing that Uranus and my sun are at 20 degrees, and that number is like, with numerology, there's a lot of significance with the number 20. Of course, right now we're near 2020. But
and what'll also be interesting is and this is kind of what I'm getting at, is Uranus plays a big factor in your life because its nodes are at 19. Nodes are at 19 degrees. So the Uranus is making a really tight square to your south node, which meant in the past life, what happened to you was this sudden loss of a partner, the sudden explosion of a relationship. Okay. But my sense is, and maybe this is a little projection because this is the experience of my own mother. Okay. Very similar. My mother got married when she was 19 because she grew up in her foster mother was the bishop of the church. She had to get married. Right.
Yeah.
And then she had twins when, right after her 20th birthday, had twins, but was stuck in this relationship. And when she realized that it was a toxic relationship and she tried to get out, it was hell for her. It was hell. It was hell. But finally she was able to break free, and there was some larger freedoms that she earned by going through that drama. And so
we have a lot in common.
Yeah. It feels because Uranus, right? This is the breaking free. But but with Uranus, here's the idea is because Uranus is the planet that puts us back on our track, on our unique path. Okay. But it can happen a couple of different ways. The easier way, because Uranus events are always difficult because we're having to break that conditioning. We have to break free of that need to fit in. We have to be willing to face criticism and judgment.
Yes.
Right? but if we
poster child for that.
Exactly.
That's my picture.
But if we do, if we're able to break free and become more of ourselves, magic starts to show up in our lives because we get on our own unique path and things just
I'm ready for the magic, Ricky.
Well, so when you're ready for the magic, right? And you are ready for it. Uranus comes into your in the 7th house. So when planets enter the 7th house, okay, what it means is the effect of those planets are coming into your life to create a shift, but they're showing up in the guise of other people. Okay. In
the what of other people?
In the wearing the costume of
my I about passed out. I almost fainted.
So if you see right here, right, this is Uranus right here, just into the 7th house. Okay. And so two vectors here. One vector is be aware, right, of people coming into your life who are Uranian. What does that mean? People that tend not to care what other people think about them. People that push you to be more yourself. People that when you first see them, the first sense you get is, damn, this person really does not care what people think. and that again, the idea is that by the energy that these people are bringing into your life is they're pushing you to wake up to all the ways that you've been conditioned. And just to let those go and to be more of yourself. Okay. I would say that the nature of this relationship, this conversation is an example of that Uranus energy coming into your 7th house, because Uranus rules astrology. So
oh my God. Yeah, because this was a sacrifice.
Yes.
Make me clicking the button and it's a lot. But I'm so glad. Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to try not to interrupt you anymore.
No, please. Again, it's a conversation. It's a conversation.
That's right. That's right.
So,
Yeah.
one side of this is saying, be aware of these people. The other vector of the other work that you have to do is the people in your life right now, the current relationships you have, right? It's important for you to start being more of yourself.
Yes.
Okay? Because you have to start being more Iranian, putting those parts of yourself out in front. And so you can tell who are your true partners. The people that are like, damn, I've been waiting for this forever, right? That's how you know these are the people to stay. The people that are like, that don't get it, or right? It's time for them to go because they can't go with you where you're headed.
Right.
They can't go with you where you're headed. All right. In my sense is that some of these people might be considered family, right? The reason I say that is because planet Saturn is on top of your moon. Okay. Planet Saturn is on top of your moon, and the moon is family, the people that we let into our heart. Okay. And Saturn is where we have to mature. Saturn is where we have to grow up. And so it's time. The moon is in Capricorn, so this is already a natural Capricorn moon Saturn kind of situation.
Yes, they're comfortable. They relate.
Yes. And so I want to talk a little bit about this moon to understand what's going on right now. Okay. So the moon, I think of the sun is about our conscious identity, right? Is that you'll consciously say, I like the truth, right? It's something that you'll consciously say, like, and even have some pride for the difficult things that you've been through, right? Right, the depth that the wisdom and depth, and the intensity that you embody. Okay, that's the sun where we shine, right? We feel tapped in and energized when we tap into it. Okay, the moon, on the other hand, the moon rules the night, and so the moon is about our subjective inner life. Okay, I think of the moon is about the sun is about making choices, right? We make choices with the sun. The moon is kind of a choice, but it's more of a response, right? It's how we choose to respond to the feelings, the moods, the attitudes, the fantasies, the dreams that haunt us, right? That well up with inside, right? You can't choose what mood you're in, right? You can choose to do something to try to change it, but you have to. It's a response to the mood, right? You can't choose what you dream about, right? You choose how you respond to those dreams, right? You don't even choose what you want, right? You can choose how to respond to those, right?
Wow.
And so this is the tricky part when the moon is in Capricorn, because the moon is about our ability to respond in hopefully healthy ways to those feelings that arise. Okay? Because they're giving us information about what we need to feel comfortable and what we need to feel safe. Okay? But where the moon is also related to the past, right? To our training, to what we inherited from our family. Okay? And typically what we inherited from our family is what feels familiar to us. Okay? What feels familiar to us. Okay? And so, and it also, and also the moon in astrology relates to the mother. And the connection is, and it's really the nurturing parent, but the connection is, before we could speak, when we were just hearts, feelings, how did our mothers typically respond to us, right? And the way our mothers responded and nurtured us typically becomes the way we tend to nurture and respond to ourselves. Okay. Right. And so, I have a lot of women in my life who have Capricorn moons. Okay. My wife is a Capricorn moon. Okay.
Oh my goodness.
And she tells the story. She tells the story of when she was, I think she was 1.5, and her mom was changing her diaper, and she swatted her mom's hand away and essentially said, "I can do this myself."
Wow. Yeah, I can relate.
Yes. So the moon, all right? The moon is what we need, right? And it's transrational, meaning if we try to make it make sense, right, we're going to get ourselves into trouble. because this is lunar. It's just
Mm-hmm.
the ability to attend to our needs. Okay?
And I recently learned that the Bible, when the Bible speaks about sin, it's like a moon god.
Yes. Yes.
So I recently learned that. That was really exciting.
Yeah.
A lot of things are connecting. So wow, yeah.
So let me make the connection. All right. So the God in the Bible is Capricorn Saturn. Right.
Mm.
It's the father figure. That's why the
Yes.
patriarchy. Okay.
Right.
The rules. Okay. And
Mm-hmm.
so Capricorn is always opposing Cancer.
Yeah.
Right. Cancer is the mother, right?
The nurture,
the goddess,
wow.
right? And so in Christianity, in Judeo-Christianity, patriarchy, the father was put up, and the mother, the nurturer, was considered sin. And so
Mm-hmm.
if we gave into our feelings too much, our desires, it would lead us to sin. Okay?
Yes.
Right. And this is the idea of another example from Big Brother. You know, because I see you see the expression of this patriarchy, Capricorn energy, typically in white males, okay,
Mm-hmm.
in our culture. And so what I noticed in the Big Brother house is all the white guys were afraid of the women. You know, they were afraid of any emotion, and so they you know, they just turned to they turned retarded whenever the women got emotional. Like they didn't know how to deal with it. Okay?
Yeah.
Right. Because in their consciousness, that's sin. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
That's sin. And so and this is tricky. So when the moon, which rules Cancer, is in Capricorn, right? There's some tension there. Okay. And so the shadow side of Capricorn is the positive side of Capricorn is there's something I have to get done, right?
Right. The
Capricorn
goat
is about making things real, right?
Yes.
And in order to make something real in this world, you got to put effort, you got to put work in, you got to be disciplined, you got to stay focused, okay? These are all Capricorn, right? Discipline, focus, right?
Yeah.
And so part of being disciplined and focused is you have to have the ability to put your feelings aside.
Right.
Okay? Because, and this is kind of what the Bible was saying, is that if we let our feelings and our desires get the most of us, we're not ever going to be able to accomplish it.
Yes.
Okay?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Poster child.
Exactly.
There's my picture again.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Me not getting shit done because I'm being super emotional in my feelings.
Yes.
Okay.
This is what you're here to work on, right?
Yeah.
This is what you're here to work on. And so when the moon is in Capricorn, the moon is about feelings. The feeling associated with Capricorn is exhaustion. That feeling of just being like exhausted, and or depression.
Yep.
Okay? Right.
Yep.
And so the exhaustion is because you worked your ass off. You know, when I was a football player, there's one season in particular, well, a couple seasons, where they gave me the ball pretty much every play. And at the end of the game, I would be exhausted, right? Yeah. But also with that exhaustion, because we were winning, there was this feeling of accomplishment and like dignity, like, you know, and status, right? These are Capricorn. This is Capricorn too. Mm-hmm. And so this feeling of accomplishment, right? Yeah. That comes from exhaustion. Hard work pays off, right? All these cliches, right? Yeah. This is Capricorn moon. You know, and the thing about my wife is whenever she's in a bad mood, she'll just go start cleaning stuff. Right?
Yes. Rearranging furniture.
Getting stuff done.
Put the stuff over here.
Yeah, I call her a little beaver. You know, she starts beavering and she feels better. You know.
Yep. Feng shui.
Exactly. Just getting stuff done is gonna make you feel better. Okay? Yes. In the third house, one of the things the third house is related to is communication and writing. Okay, writing. Right. Capricorn, great work. And Jupiter is the planet. Jupiter also in the third house in Capricorn is the planet of publishing. Okay, publishing. Right. Okay. Saturn is the planet of our great work in the sign of Gemini, which is the sign of communication. Right. In the 8th house. Right. So here's where I feel is the missing piece. Okay, is. So wherever Saturn is, it's where we experience a blockage, okay? Right? and what I've been saying about Capricorn applies to Saturn: discipline, hard work, eye on the prize, put my feelings aside, stay focused. Okay.
Yeah.
Because right in the perfect world, we need those qualities to be able to overcome our blockages.
Right.
Okay. All right. And so Saturn in the 8th, there's a blockage to sharing how you see things, to your voice in intimate relationships. Okay. Right. A blockage to communicating in intimate relationships. Right.
Yes.
Okay. And so I'm just vibing right now. Okay. I'm just vibing. I'm just vibing here. So when I look at the South Node, okay, and I look at, let's say somebody, got married because it was what they were supposed to do, right?
Yeah.
But also I think of there's some pride that comes in piety, and so I see this woman on her wedding day proud, right? Because she's doing the right thing, right?
Right.
Right. And there's we're young, so there's a little bit of naivete about what this actual experience is going to be like. Okay. And so it gets into the relationship, and all this Scorpio energy starts to come out, right? And you start to say, okay, third house, right? Third house is about communication. Okay. Yeah. Third house is about communication. And you start to express how you truly feel. And if you think about it in a relationship, a woman is supposed to be seen and not heard, Because woman starts to say things that don't feel good, things get ugly really bad, right?
Yeah.
Ugly really bad. And the end result is I said something, I spoke my truth. Next thing I know, I was all by myself.
Right.
To take care of everything all on my own. And so that could leave a wound where someone is afraid to share how they really feel when they get in the context of an intimate relationship. Okay? Right. And so when Saturn is in the 8th house, and my wife has Saturn in the 8th house too, right? The great work, right? What you're here to commit to, the blockage to be overcome, right? Is this ability to have the kind of relationship that lasts a long time and is built on the ability to communicate deeply. Okay. So, because wherever Saturn is, there's a blockage because we've experienced some sense of loss and some sense of failure in this area in the past. Okay. And because, and this is highlighted because all of these planets in Libra in the 12th house squaring the South Node. So we know you have a history of loss, disappointment, violence in the past related to relationships. So you have ample evidence that it's not safe to express myself.
Yes.
To express myself in the body.
Right.
One thing that I think is important, if you were going to think, when you think of, because there is a need to be able to express yourself in intimate relationships. I'd say it's the most important thing in this chart.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It's the most important thing in this chart, and I think one of the things to consider is your passion for learning has equated to you being very knowledgeable. Okay. And with Jupiter in the 3rd house in Capricorn, there's a need to share your expertise and a need to share what you know with other people. Okay.
Yeah.
And so it's important when you think about people that you share intimately with, is that they're on your same level intellectually. Okay. They have to be as intelligent, if not more intelligent than you.
Which is kind of difficult.
Exactly. Well, maybe not. I think it's difficult if you don't know what you're looking for. But one of the things I found is when you get laser focused on what you're looking for, you start to attract it. Where at the very least, you start to be aware of when it's not there, and you no longer waste your time. Okay.
Yeah. Right. And I think this can apply to intimate. I don't know. You tell me. Definitely to intimate relationships, but with all that in the 12th house, within Libra, like I feel like there's something for me to share for a group of people. I mean, that can be intimate. I mean, it doesn't have to be just
Well,
one-on-one.
I think you're right on it, because the house of one-on-one interactions is the seventh house. You don't have any planets here, okay? And
Right.
so like the fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth, these are all relationship houses, okay? You don't have very much in relationship houses, so you
Right.
don't necessarily need a relationship, but
Right.
what you do need is to heal the ability to share intimately.
Yes,
So this
absolutely.
could manifest as your willingness to share intimately in your writing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and it could be developing a deep connection uh, with your readers. Okay,
Yes.
and
Yes.
this is pointed to by the Pluto in the 11th. Okay, in Pluto is our deepest wound, and I started to talk about this, the generational wound. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
the shadow of Libra. Okay, the shadow of Libra is that we compromise too much. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and back to the story of the Bible was really the text, the scripture of the Piscean age. Okay, especially the New Testament. Okay, the
Yes.
Piscean age. Well, yeah, the Old Testament was the Aryan age. Everybody was killing everybody.
You're
The
right.
New Testament was the Piscean age. Jesus bringing the message of love, ending with sacrifice on the
Right.
cross. Okay,
Yes.
this is
And we are entering the age of
yeah,
Aquarius. Are we already there yet?
we're already there. We're in the very
Okay. Yes.
beginning. We're in the very beginning. So in the age of Pisces, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
we have to think of all of the signs, right? That
Yeah.
the age supersedes our understanding of the signs. What I mean by that is, if we're going through a Pisces age, all of the signs are going to have that Pisces tinge on them. And so
Right.
part of the transformation of moving from Pisces to Aquarius is the energy, the archetypes emanating from the signs have to start letting go of the Piscean tinge and starting to take on more of an Aquarian kind of tinge. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And
Okay.
so Pluto, right? Pluto's job is transformation. So as we're changing from one age to the next, Pluto becomes extremely important because it's the factor, the function that's creating the transformation. So Pluto moving through Libra for the first time in the Aquarian age is destroying all of the Piscean kind of forms around relationship and creating space for more Aquarian archetypes to show up in the area of relationships. Okay, and
Awesome.
so
Awesome.
the Pisces myth is two people become one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Pisces
Mm-hmm.
is about where I give up my identity to merge with something greater. So the
Mm-hmm.
myth, and what I was talking about in the Bible, the myth in the Bible, the Judeo-Christian myth that most of us inherited was you get into a relationship and you die as an individual, okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
The Aquarian impulse in a relationship would be you get into a relationship and you become more of an individual, okay?
I love it.
And so in order for this transfer, right, this is a big shift. In order for
Mm-hmm.
this transformation to come, right, the shadow side of Libra, which is all of the ways I've been sacrificing who I really am and been giving up those parts to merge into this relationship, right, that had to change. And so what we saw when Pluto entered Libra, before Pluto entered Libra, I think the divorce rate in the US was like 13%. When Pluto left Libra in 1984, it was around 50%. And so the wound that we all suffered, us that were born in this
Yeah.
time, is
Right.
that we're the first generation that can
Mm-hmm.
no longer hold on to the idea that the person that I marry is going to be the person that I'm with for the rest of my life. Because even if we could think about it theoretically, or because
Mm-hmm.
we were trained to by our religion, the examples we saw going on around us showed us that it was not the case anymore, right? If it wasn't our parents, it was our cousins or our neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
We were seeing marriages fall apart on a daily
Yes.
basis. And the worst part is because divorce was so new, like they were ugly divorces,
Yeah. Yeah.
that really traumatized a lot of us. And this is the wounding. Okay, this is the wounding. And so in order for us to heal the wound, right, is our aim, our goal is to fix the problem, is to figure out how can we do long-term relationships where we can actually be honest.
Yes.
Pluto and Libra, right? How can we do long-term relationships where we can be honest? And
Does
so,
anybody love the truth out there?
right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, my teacher says the truth is the world's most controlled substance.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And so Pluto in the 11th would be the wound of the 11th house is the groups, the collective that we're a part of. And so Pluto in the 11th is the judgment that we receive, or the rules we're supposed to follow that we receive about relationship from the collective. From the collective. And so, yes, right, because Pluto is our deepest wound, but it's also our highest destiny. So your high destiny is to put out, to share with the world what you've learned about relationship.
Oh, wow.
How you've dealt with this wound in your
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. And it's at 3 degrees. There's at 3 again. Stuff is just, I'm like tripping over here.
Popping, huh? Yeah. It's popping. All right. So, yes. So, yeah, Saturn in the 8th, the great work. And it's also in a more general sense. Saturn in the 8th is the great work of always committing to a life of working on yourself, right? It's connected, right? 8th house, the 8th sign is Scorpio. So it's picking up on the Scorpio theme of depth, but it's aiming it as your ability to communicate intimately, right? To communicate intimately, and also to keep developing the skills, because communication is always built on perception. Okay.
Yes.
The way that we see things conditions the way we think about things, conditions the way that we speak about them. Okay. This is really what the 3rd house is about. Okay. Right. This is what the 3rd house is about. And so Jupiter is about, this is where I got the idea of, wow, this woman, at least early in life, must have been very judgmental, because Jupiter is where we know. It's where we believe, right? It's this preacher energy, and it's in the 3rd house. Yeah, in Capricorn is lecture energy. You know, so it's this need. There's this need to be an authority. Right? Yeah. There's this need to be an authority in with what you say, and you have a lot to say, right? You have. Jupiter is faith, belief, vision, right? But in order to have something to say, right, we have to educate ourselves. Okay? Educate ourselves. And so education becomes huge in this chart. Huge, right? Saturn and Gemini, the hard work of gathering information. Okay? Yeah. The moon in Capricorn, the need to accomplish. In the 3rd house, to accomplish education, to accomplish learning, you know? Yeah. Jupiter, you expand through taking in information, right? Taking in information and then sharing it, right? And then sharing it, right? So it seems it is important for you to finish this book, okay? And to make sure, I would say, to make sure the book is as real, right, as possible. Yeah, as real as possible. The other thing here is Mercury. Mercury is the planet of communication, okay? And it's interesting, it's in Sag, right? And so, again, the need to speak truth. Yeah. You know, the need to seek truth. The tricky part here is Mercury's in the 2nd house. And the 2nd house is typically where we have our insecurities. We have our insecurities. And so the nature of the 2nd house is where we have to prove ourselves to ourselves. We have to take on difficult educational challenges and learn things that we didn't think we could learn, to prove to ourselves how intelligent we are, or to communicate something that you didn't think you could communicate, to prove to yourself your gift and your skill at verbalism.
Woohoo!
Yeah. And so on that note, 2006, okay?
Yeah.
2006. So what jumped out in 2006 were a couple of themes, okay? One of them was relationship themes, and the other were Mercury, so learning, education, communication themes,
Mm-hmm.
and also spirituality. Okay?
Yes.
These were the three main themes that that jumped out.
That's good. That's good. Spot on.
Yeah. All right. So this technique is called solar arcs,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of the techniques that astrologers use when they look at time periods. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So we could go back to 2006 and look at, okay, what was going on. All right. And a couple of things jump out. There's a lot of things that jump out. First thing that jumps out is the planet Pluto. Okay.
The ascendant.
On the ascendant. Yes. There you go. Yes. And so it's 2 degrees. And so if we want to, I would say the Pluto over the ascendant was what was going on the previous, with 2004, 2005. So it was still going on a little bit, but it was kind of what set the scene for what was going on, what was triggered in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
But still, that Pluto hitting the ascendant is definitely there in the background. Okay.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right? So again, a transformation of the social mask, right?
Yeah.
Having to face some secret, right, and integrate that secret into your social mask, into your life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
life trajectory. All right. So the next thing, right? Venus. Okay. Ding, 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 ding. Venus hitting the sun. Okay. So Venus, the planet of relationship, right, becomes a big. It's time for you to integrate how you're going to do relationship with your identity. Okay. And so to understand this more deeply, we have to understand your natal Venus. Okay. And this is a beautiful Venus, because Venus is in Libra, right? And so Venus likes to be in Libra. It rules Libra. They have a lot in common. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so on a positive side, this can give the ability to love anyone. Okay. Mm-hmm. Or I should say the ability to like anyone. Okay. Okay. But Venus is really a planet of knowing who to say yes to and who to say no to. Okay?
And I just recently found out too, Venus is the planet or the Lord for this year for me.
Yes. So maybe you got another relationship year coming up. So we'll look at that. So, but just the natal Venus in Libra is nice. It gives an appreciation of beauty. Okay.
Yeah.
In the beauty and everything, because it's in the 12th house. So this 12th house planets are spiritual planets. Right?
Yes.
They're here to help us move towards enlightenment. Right.
Yeah.
But they require us to learn the gift of letting go. Okay.
I learned that was big for that year.
Yes.
Yeah. And we can, for the sake of time, we can move on from, unless there's something else you want to share from that. Just based off what you've told me already, being able to take that information and look, You
got it. Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so then I'll go quick. I'll just point out things that were interesting to me.
Okay.
So interesting was, again, the Pluto, I've just gone over the ascendant. Venus. There's also something called a solar arc chart, where you take the chart for the year, and in that chart, on your birthday, right? On your birthday in 2006, transiting Venus was also on top of your sun. So it's just, the chart is saying big relationship year. Okay.
Yes, it was.
From your birthday 2006 to your birthday 2007, huge relationship year.
Yes.
All right.
I met some celebrities and it was crazy. Moved to another state, left my husband.
So Jupiter on the 4th, right? The 4th house is home. Jupiter is expansion. Right? Aquarius is breaking free. This could be leaving a marriage and moving to a different place. Okay. This is.
Get out. That's great. Like, if anybody doubts astrology, if you see this, I'm going to post this to my YouTube page. That right there. Oh my God.
Yes. Also, there's the solar arc ascendant conjunct Mercury. So this to me is saying that you're evolving, because remember, the
Yes.
ascendant is our social mask, our social identity.
Yes.
Your evolving social mask identity starting to take on more Mercury type of energy. So maybe you started to identify as a writer, or education became more important to you. But this idea of
Definitely.
integrate the part of you that's curious, okay?
Definitely. Yeah.
Starting to move
Wow.
towards addressing the insecurities about your intelligence, right? Opportunity
Yes.
that triggered and opened that up. Also, Neptune. Okay, so Neptune in the second house, right? This is Neptune is the planet of spirituality, and so what I know already, about you is it seems like this Neptune has a lot to do with. So second house is where we underestimate ourselves. Neptune is spirituality. We underestimate our spiritual development. And for you, I think it was because of the religion of your parents, right? Is that fit into that area, you would have a lot of judgments about yourself, where if you had a larger, a more accurate sense of your spiritual development, you would realize how that you were just fine.
Yes.
Better yet, you were way ahead of where you thought. Okay.
Yes.
And so, my sense is that the solar arc moon is making a square aspect from the fourth to that Neptune. So again, this need to break free of the old forms of spirituality, to create more space for you to realize how spiritually connected you really were.
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
Hope we don't lose internet. It looks like a storm's coming up.
Where do you live now?
I'm in Lawrence, South Carolina, which is like 2 hours from Charlotte, 2 hours from Atlanta, 2 hours from Tennessee. I'm like right in the middle of Yes.
All right. So just these are progressions, similar technique, and we see progressed Mars hitting your sun. Okay. So this is where you have to embody courage, right? Courage. And your natal Mars in the 12th house in relationship. So it's saying in life, you're developing the courage to end bad relationships. Okay.
Yes.
And also whenever Mars is connected to relationships, it's always about learning the art of intimate conflict. How do I assert myself in ways that equal peace, right? And it's the idea that in especially with Scorpio, right? Every relationship, there's going to be elephants in the room. And typically when you point out those elephants in the room, it's not going to be pretty, but if you stick with it, you get to a deeper connection through those conversations. Okay?
I think I scare people away when I do that. I'm like, okay, let's talk about the obvious.
Yeah.
What are your deal breakers? Let's, get to it. So
yeah. But the idea is if you can put this out in front early, right? The people that can't handle it will go away. The people that can will stick around and they'll appreciate it.
Right.
And I think part of this Mars in the 12th and in Libra is having the courage to let go of anyone that doesn't appreciate that.
Yes.
This is the courage to say, this is who I am.
Right.
Because Libra is about the balance. And so it's about finding your equals to relate to. And putting yourself out there. If they can't hang, let them go. So yeah, the development of courage, right? This was a year where you had to integrate the spiritual warrior.
Absolutely.
You had to go to war. And again, more Neptune, Mercury, spiritual education. Spiritual education.
Self-education. University of the Internet. So yeah.
Hitting that hard. And I would say, this chart, as there's a tremendous need to learn. Right? Because again, you have something important to say, but people that are talking but haven't really experienced anything, they're just talking crap. And so you need to feed yourself with information, new experiences, right? those are going to feed your voice. Those are going to feed the words that come out in your way.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. And so the other thing that's interesting here is during this year, the progressed moon moved into the 7th house. So this idea of relationships, right? Again, coming to the fore. And also, when the progressed moon enters the 7th house, and this would have been like the spring of 2007. Progressed moon enters the 7th. It's like a coming out party, you know. It's like we're here.
Yeah.
Because it's, remember, this is below the surface, and so 14 years below the surface hits the 7th house. It's a coming out party. And
Wow.
typically, people show up in our lives that we meet, that there's really meaningful connections.
Yes. And a lot of that was church stuff too.
Yeah, I'd bet a lot of things are.
Oh my God, I could write like a series of books.
Exactly. All right, and then the transits, which where the planets were then on your birthday at least. What did I notice here? Yeah, the main thing I noticed was Uranus squaring your Mercury.
In 2007?
In 2006 and 2007. Yeah.
Wow.
But so yeah, just opening your mind, cracking it open.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That was the main transit. But with the solar arcs and the progressions, the main thing is this relationship stuff. Again, your relationship theme in your chart is Venus for your lifetime, Venus in the 12th. So early in life, it's having the ability to get out of bad relationships. Later in life, it's to create spiritual relationships.
Wow.
Right? Because the 12th house is about learning to let go. Okay. And so it comes from the idea that because the 12th house is the spiritual house. It's the lesson we learn in the 12th house is that we're not the body, that we're something more expansive. And so if we ever get too attached with Venus there, if we ever get too attached to the relationship and we forget that we're a spiritual being, then that relationship has to be taken away from us so that we can remember. But if we enter into relationships with this knowledge already, and we actually enter in relationships that remind us that we're a spiritual being, because we're in a relationship with another spiritual being who embodies
also
that.
knows.
Exactly. Right? Then relationship becomes something that feeds us spiritually. Right?
Wow.
Right. Extremely important. And yeah, Mars there is, like I said, again, and I had a similar experience in my relationship where I got to a point where I realized what was important to me in my life, and that for this relationship to work, it has to contribute to what's important for me in my life. And if it doesn't, I have to have the courage to let it go.
Which is also hard for somebody with the sun in the first house, because you already come across as selfish, and then when your purpose is to express yourself and be true, and that's the Libra. That's this whole heavy Libra thing, being concerned with other people's interpretation of my authenticity. So it's just freedom.
And this brings us to Uranus. Okay, Uranus is where we have to break free of the conditioning around other people liking us, right? We have to break free of the Libra conditioning and realize that the relationships that are going to feel better to me, again, this is Uranus, right? We're entering the age of Aquarius. So relationships that support me being me are the relationships that have value to me. And one thing
that's a mantra. That's the mantra for the day. The relationships that support me being me. I forget the last part. I'll go back and watch it.
Yes. So the relationships that support you being you are the ones to hold on to. The ones that don't are the ones you got to have the courage to cut loose. Sorry. And part of that comes from that sun in the first is being you, regardless, right? And then people that get it will come, and people that don't will go, and that's what you want.
And that's yes.
That's what you want. And so when the sun is in the first house, okay, what you're learning is enlightened selfishness. Enlightened selfishness. Okay. And when the sun's in the first, it's about you in life, you have to make choices that other people are not going to understand. Okay. This is leadership. This is leadership energy.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
In Scorpio leadership is the kinds of leaders who don't freak out when things get really difficult because they've been through stuff.
Yes.
Right. And they have to, right. And so this is, I think this is a part of your message.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a part of your message.
Oh my gosh, what time is it? Wow, this is awesome.
Do you have any questions?
Career, like I'm at a crossroads at my job. I definitely don't want to be there. I have to be there to pay the bills until, I get something going as far as my own business or my podcast or my book. Just really facing or confronting some, honestly, some discrimination. So, yeah, I'm trying to decide whether I'm calling it, contacting a lawyer, or what do I do? Is it worth the fight? Do I just go find another job?
So, well, the one thing I was going to say about, so when you look at money, okay, when you look at money, you look at the second house, right? And I'll get to the point. I had a teacher, and he said, "Money's not the problem, you are." Okay, and so your chart says money comes through Mercury in Sag, right? Podcast, okay, and so you got to put the work in. But if you put the work in, the money will come, okay. And so it's the idea of because the second house is where we underestimate ourselves, okay? Yeah. Where we underestimate ourselves, where we have to prove ourselves to ourselves. So put the work in to prove yourself to yourself, and things will start to grow in that area.
Right.
Right. And also, interesting. Neptune in the second is very interesting because Neptune is the planet of mysticism, and mystics are defined by what they give away.
I have what do you call astral? When I'm dreaming, I know I'm dreaming, and sometimes I do things. And I used to sleepwalk when I was little.
Yeah.
Like even as an adult, I had a spell where I would wake up like in a different part of the house with different clothes on and have no idea what happened. Yeah. That hasn't happened in years. Yeah.
I think that's probably the Mercury close to the Neptune, because Mercury close to Neptune is about the invisible world. Mm-hmm. And when Mercury is close, there can give ability to sense, because Mercury is our senses, our perception. We can tend to sense the invisible world. So clairvoyance, clairaudience, sensing other things can be a gift. And the point would be, use this gift to make money.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the idea, right? Is use your spiritual connection, your perception, and your voice to make money.
Absolutely.
So, this is a place where, it doesn't work for everyone, but like manifestation kind of stuff, the secret, you could have a very amazing gift at speaking money into existence.
Yes, I have actually done that a time or two. Yeah.
A big part of it is confidence, confidence in study. So I would get I'll find a good book, and I'll find a good book for you, and I'll send it to you.
Awesome.
because I think just educating yourself in this area will be very
I
helpful.
just recently got this book. It's not Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself by Dr. Joe Dispenza.
Yes, I like
He's
it.
one of my. I've been following him for years.
That's a good book to read with Aquarius opposing your ascendant. That's an Aquarius opposing the ascendant. Perfect book.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, this was fun, Keena. Thank you.
Don't leave me, Ricky. Okay, yeah, it was great. Thank you so much. Yes. Thank you. It was awesome.
Yeah. So please feel free, and please, I say this to everyone, but no one does it. Please feel free if any questions or anything comes up when you rewatch this and you want to. I don't mind emailing and having a conversation back and forth.
Oh God, that's awesome. I definitely will. Yes. I don't know what's wrong with everybody that didn't, but rest assured I will.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All right. Take care.
Yeah.